now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning to all the ships at sea. All my boys and girls, the older boys and girls, the younger boys and girls, all shapes and sizes are welcome here. All ethnicities, all religions, all tribes. Great to have everybody in the mix. Good morning to all.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, John.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Kim.
Morning.
And good morning, Tony. Tony's back, everybody. Come on, Tony. What up, Tony?
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Tony's watching all things on the technical side, help him here and there, plug a few leaks. Lynn was our first person in the chat room. Is that right? Is that right, John? I think John mentioned that.
Morning.
It was in the
Morning,
advanced seating.
Morning, Lynn.
Wow, good morning, Lynn, from all of us. Got a big show today. We're going to check in with the commissioner on the Niners. Big news out of the Niners. Some of it's good, and some of it's maybe not as good. We have Mark's Murder Mystery Monday today. Bottom of the hour, Courtney will check in with stuff that's going on in the way of mystery murders. And she'll review a case that you may know, but it may have some facts associated with it that you don't know. So we'll get into that in the, as I say, the second half hour of the show, if you wanted to break the show up into half hours. Law and Disorder is massive and delicious. It involves Border Patrol agents. It involves a major court ruling.
If you get them in order, you get extra points.
And you get
keep in mind.
I do.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Well, I don't think I'll get it in order, but yeah, it is juicy. But there's a lot there. Probably enough in Law and Disorder for a whole week. I hope we'll get to That's Rich today. And Craig, who is the ninja production guy from KGO, he actually made us a new That's Rich Open. We couldn't use the old That's Rich Open because it had music on it that would get us a copyright strike. So he put together a new open and close, and so he actually did that with a few things. And so we're very grateful to...
It's kind of ironic because it's not rich. We're not rich.
Yeah, there's a certain irony to it. Before I get any further, please smash the like button for us while you're here. That just helps us in the world of YouTube. You know, it's a crazy world.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Oh, that reminds me. There's a poll going on right now. The iron rod sale at getmarkmerch.com was very successful. A lot of people took advantage of the discount. It's over now at getmarkmerch.com. There's all these merch items.
Like this before.
You've never seen anything like it. And I do want to say
there's never been anything like this.
I do want to say that the deal with the Mark merch site is there's a lot of stuff, and you kind of need to know the stuff to answer the poll. But what we've done is we've taken all that stuff and reduced it to a few choices for you. So here's the poll. And then I want to get to the commissioners here. We're going to talk sports and the Niners and the World Cup. Then we're going to get to some of that other stuff. The poll has to do with the most popular things on the merch site. That's why I say it's kind of fun to know all the different choices. Like Kim likes that. What is the tool you like?
Touch tool.
The touch tool, right. But there are T-shirts and there's, pot holders, all this stuff. So the question on the merch is as follows. What is the most popular item at our merch site, getmarkmerch.com? We give you four choices. The long sleeve Mark Thompson Show t-shirt. Okay, you wanted that long sleeve tee, and we finally added it. The KGO and Exile t-shirt, which you see here. By the way, this will be going away. We're going to be auctioning that probably tomorrow, right behind me, the banner. So long sleeve MT Show tee, KGO and Exile tee, the MT Show pot holder, okay, and the MT Show hat. Those are your four choices. What is the most popular item at the merch site? It's a YouTube poll. You can weigh in if you're watching on YouTube. You can check it out, even if you're. Oh, it's only for the length of the show. I was going to say even in replay, but no, it's only for the length of the show. So if you're watching live, you can participate in this show. Good luck. Those are your choices, and I will reveal the true answer, the actual fact, at the end of our show. So, with that, any other, before I get Albert, any sort of, anybody have anything else? Kim, John, Tony? No?
Clear for takeoff.
No one Okay. All right. Oh, something, Kim?
No, just mulling around what I think is the most popular item. It's very difficult. You've really presented a challenge here today.
Well, we need the pot smokers to show up to vote.
Well, I mean, they think it's...
Where are my weed smokers at?
They do think it's a pot holder, like a thing to hold their pot.
Oh,
but
no.
It's
Why
actually
not?
a thing it's a holder. You could put your pot in there. I mean, why not?
It has a pot.
Well, your bong may get warm, too hot.
Mom and Dad are not going to find your pot if you put it in the pot holder, oddly.
Where are my weed smokers at?
It's an offering. All right, let's not wait any longer. It's time to talk some sports with the commissioner of sports on this show. He is
Albert, thank you. Albert, thank you.
How about it for Albert, everybody? The commissioner is in the house. What up, commish?
Hello, everybody. Glad to be back.
Commissioner, first of all, you look very well today. You look very commissioner-like. I like the olive, it would appear. It's like for those who are listening, perhaps later on podcast, let me just describe that you have a certain air of professionalism about you these days. You know what I mean? You used to be kind of the cash kid who would roll in with with the different kicks every day, and you kind of with your pro wrestling and your K-pop, and now you seem like go ahead. You're all grown up.
When you're working in radio, you can kind of wear whatever you want, So I took full advantage of that. But now with a couple years under my belt, and Brock Purdy yesterday is a rookie quarterback. He reminds me of myself when I first started at KGO, young. Didn't understand the business.
Right.
Was kind of
hold on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. What is that, Tony?
It sounds like a monster burping.
It sounds like a frog burping. What is it?
Oh, I think that's on Albert's side.
Albert, it's coming from you. The
What are you doing,
commissioner's
Albert?
office has been corrupted.
We got a little feedback, Albert.
Yeah, it's just like this little weird resonance. It's like almost like a sound.
Yeah, it sounds like it does sound like a frog. By the way, the thing to have done would have been to have Albert on ahead of time. You could have checked his feed.
Whoever is producing this thing
we didn't
has
do
no
that.
idea what they're doing.
Okay, is he okay now?
Are you still hearing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. We
Okay,
don't
let me
hear
No,
it.
it sounds okay
rejoin.
now.
Okay.
It sounds okay.
It sounds good.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, cool. Anyway, go. So you were saying that like you and Brock Purdy, the young rookie who was called upon to come into the Niners game as Jimmy G, the handsome, experienced quarterback, went down. You and he actually have something in common, is what you were saying.
Yeah, well, I was formerly.
Oh, now
known
it's
as a
burping
fresh-
again. Oh my God! What is that, Tony?
Okay, I'll just rejoin.
Wait, who
I'll
do
be
you
right
blame,
back.
Mark?
Okay.
Drop out for a second because I'll handle another piece of business, and then he'll rejoin. I was seeing in the chat that the super chats and something else is not there. Is that wrong, Tony? Can you check that to see if is everything active today?
I'm
Super chats
looking
and
into it now.
Super stickers. Okay.
I don't know. I'm checking now.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Tony.
I do want to talk Niners. Just pretty extraordinary what happened. So hopefully we'll get Albert back without the. It sounded like a belching sound, didn't it? I had to say it.
It totally did.
It did. I mean, it was just like I was trying to ignore it originally, and then
That's not fake. That's real.
I did. I did think.
How would you handle this?
Yeah,
We could try ignoring it, sir.
I did try to ignore it, but then it just kept happening, and it sounded like those. Here is Albert again. We'll give it another
Let's
shot.
see. We can do it.
I can't play your fanfare again, Commissioner. I'm only, legally obligated to play it before you arrive, but I can't play it again. So, all right. So try it. Try it now.
Yeah, can you guys hear me fine?
Yeah, that's good.
No
okay, go
feedback?
ahead.
All right.
No feedback. All right. Anyway, so get back to Purdy and
Yeah, so I was fresh-faced producer Albert. I had I wasn't beat up by the radio business yet, and Brock Purdy has not been beat up by defensive linemen, linebackers, and the NFL yet. So
yeah,
he reminded me of that yesterday.
So this kid who obviously has, I think he really stepped up yesterday. Garoppolo went down early, right? And then
after the first drive, it was a nasty. Did you see the photo of the injury?
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's terrible.
So he's out for the season now, they say. But then back to the game. Didn't know he was just out of the game. This kid comes in. Now tell us about him. They call him literally, the title applied to this guy is Mr. Irrelevant, not because it's specific to him, but because of where he was in the draft.
Yeah, so he's actually the 7th Mr. Irrelevant quarterback to be taken in the draft, which is the last pick in the entire draft, the very last pick, and he will be next week the first Mr. Irrelevant to start in an NFL game out of the 6. Well, as the 7th, and it happens to be against our hometown heroes, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who he also joked in the press conference that Brady has been in the league longer than he's been alive. So
it's well. It would have been a great showdown of handsome if you'd had Garoppolo against Brady, you know what I mean? But now you have a different kind of showdown for next week. But before we get to next week, I just want to review the game. So he's thrust into this role. He did have passing records at Iowa. He's not nobody, but he was nobody as far as the NFL is concerned. So he comes in, and he was outstanding.
Yeah, so even dating back to his high school days, he grew up in Arizona, and he was highly touted. He was recruited to the likes of Alabama and all the top schools, but he ends up at Iowa State and doesn't really start, but eventually does well, wins a whole bunch of awards his senior season, gets drafted, and he converted on some really big and important third downs, throwing in the middle, throwing in between defenders, doing the tough throws that I wouldn't... It would be 50-50 with Jimmy G, and also with the guy across, Tua Tagovailoa, Miami's quarterback. I think that was the main, other than the Niners playing well, I thought he was the focal point of the entire game with his Jimmy G-like throws, but he's number 1 in the league in accuracy, so it was very weird yesterday.
Well, that's wild to hear you say. Essentially, he stepped into the role, and you feel as though he was a better performer than the guy he was replacing. And at least yesterday he was, and a better performer than the guy he was facing on the other side of the ball, which is Tua. Miami isn't nobody. They actually they're a pretty good team, but the Niners began to chew them up. Very strong running game and a very strong defense the Niners have. So going forward, might that be enough to carry this rookie to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, I'll ask you, Mark. Do you think that Jimmy G could win us a Super Bowl, or do you think he's just the placeholder to not lose us the Super Bowl?
I think the offense is built for balance, right? Tremendous running game. Assuming you can, keep McCaffrey free of injury. You've got, Debo is amazing. You have so many weapons, it seems, on the ground, and then your quarterback is put in fewer positions where he has to carry the team on his back. You know what I mean? And I would also say that the establishing of a running game helps relieve pressure on your passing games. You're able to do more because they've got to cover the run. So in my view, it's conceivable that the Niners could ride to the Super Bowl with this rookie quarterback. What do you think?
I'm 100% with you. It's the movie season. Like this season could be in a movie. You have the star young quarterback. You have the cast off with Jimmy G in the beginning. The young quarterback gets injured. Jimmy G comes up. Everybody wants him gone, but then we all need him now. So we all got his behind him. Then he's injured, and then this rookie Mr. Irrelevant comes up. It's literally out of a movie, and it's defense. The defense will win us the championship because even you said the possession. Yet last night, the Dolphins only had the ball for like a minute in the third quarter, and that's a lot to the run game, and that saved the defense. Then the defense came up clutch. You can only stop Miami so much, and then you saw the Tyreek Hill touchdowns, the whole possession. It ended like really fast, and they're already back in the game. But the defense hold out strong, and we got the scoop and score to win the game. So I think that's going to be the method for us, defense.
Calvin says need more running if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, I don't see how you could have more running than you've got. I mean, you got a tremendous running game with the Niners, probably among the elite in the league. Yvonne says third stringer, fingers crossed. Yeah, Niners have quite a few weapons in their offense. I think Purdy could take us all the way. Says Debbie. Yeah, I'd love to. It really is. It's a Cinderella season. John is saying it, and it's true. And Albert just said it. It feels like a movie. This kid, Mr. Irrelevant. It just, Sports Illustrated couldn't write a feature better than the one that's unfolding for the Niners. So, and
then we even signed this quarterback who's been with the Niners 4 times. I have the list. So Josh Johnson will be the backup quarterback, and this is his 4th stint with the Niners. He was drafted by the Buccaneers in 2008. He played for the Sacramento Mountain Lions of the UFL, Cleveland, Cincinnati, San Francisco again, Cincinnati again, the Jets, the Colts, Buffalo, Baltimore, the Giants, Houston, Oakland, Washington. The list goes on. He's been in 4 different leagues, and he's back with the Niners. This guy's probably an encyclopedia of football plays. He's just memorizing all these.
I was going to say, imagine having to learn all of those playbooks. Oh my God! So people are saying in the chat, "Hey, make sure this guy doesn't get hurt." There's that problem. There's so many games in the NFL. You really need a bench full of quarterbacks, and they have to be halfway decent. This guy Purdy looked more than halfway decent. Now with defenses scheming against him specifically, there will be a different test coming up. For example, this coming week and in the weeks to come, they don't know what to expect from this guy when he's first coming in for the fallen Jimmy G. But the next time they're going to scheme against him, so it should be. Tell me about World Cup real quick. The Dutch beat the Americans.
The American Europeans, as I like to call them. They're
because there's so many European players.
Yeah, well, European descending players, but then I think this is just the beginning. I knew that from before the tournament. We have a team full of young guys, and we performed well. We performed okay. Actually, we performed okay, like in the capital okay. We drawed. We got the wins barely. Pulisic clutched it out for us to make it to the knockout stages, but I expect them to make a bigger splash in 2026.
All right, so you're looking ahead to 2020. Who is likely to win World Cup, Albert? Who is the favorite?
It's weird because this year it seems like there's no favorite. It's a literal toss-up. There's a lot of strong teams remaining, and even today there's a couple big games. So I know Brazil is taking on South Korea, and then Japan's also playing today. We'll see what happens. But all right. I'm not a betting man, so I don't know where to put my money in this. Well,
it's not a question of betting. You are the commissioner. I need you to pick a favorite at some point. So maybe next week. How long does World Cup go on?
I believe a couple more. I think one more week, a couple more weeks. Yeah. Okay. They're already in the round of 16, so that should be dwindling and should end next week.
All right. Thank you, Albert. Any closing comments from the commissioner's office, or you want to? You'll join us next week with another update.
Yeah, I'll probably join next week, hopefully after a Niners win.
Love it.
The Buccaneers are also struggling, but they also have a good defense, so that'll test Purdy. But maybe we could touch on some other sports. The Warriors seem to be getting it together.
I love touching on the Warriors. Let's do it.
Yeah, the Sharks are tanking.
The Sharks
That's exactly what we need. We need more losses. We need better draft picks.
Wow. You talk about looking ahead to next year all the time. All right. Thank you, Albert.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate you.
Albert, thank you.
He is the commissioner of sports on this show. He is the former fresh-faced former producer, Albert, everybody. Very cool to have him in the mix.
Wait, the new quarterback.
What's that, John?
The new quarterback is Brock Purdy, as in Jimmy G sure is Purdy.
Well, I'll tell you something about Brock Purdy's name. that last name is not a good one, okay? It's a tough name to go through life with the name Purdy, okay? But the first name is the best name. So he goes from crappy last name to incredible first name. Brock is like, it's a screen star name. It's a Rock Hudson name, only that's really his name, Brock. So I'm going to give him, I'm taking away points for Purdy because it's just a very tough one. I mean, it's not his fault, but I'm applying maximum pointage to the first name, Brock, which is just the best name ever. I mean, you know, so now, John and everyone, I want to tell you something that's going on with YouTube and the reason you're unable to leave a super chat and to make donations today.
Uh-oh.
There is, and I didn't. What did I say? Yeah, YouTube. YouTube.
Well, you still can donate money, but not through YouTube.
Oh, through YouTube. Yeah. So I have to direct you. So I'll tell you. You know, I always very honest with you about what's happening here and all the rest. Everything's fine with the show, except, and this is something that John and I have been working on behind the scenes. There is a confusion at YouTube over accounts, and because of the confusion about accounts, they have today, I guess, are they demonetizing the show completely? I don't know what they're doing, but they're not allowing contributions. So we really have to get on this, John. I mean, today is...
It's the account that we're currently associated with, so the money that's been contributed hasn't gone anywhere. It's just
No. Yeah, we're fine.
Something we have to resolve. Yeah,
we have to resolve it. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask, and I don't know if there's a way we can monitor this. I mean, I love giving people who've donated to us, I should say, and who support us daily, shout outs, particularly here at the holidays. We really need a lift.
We can use PayPal, and if you could write something in the comment, and I can monitor that.
Great. So we have in PayPal, and once again, I didn't mean to get off on this, but this is what's happening today. It's just it's a tough situation. It may extend into tomorrow. Go to themarkthompsonshow.com. You have to put the in there, otherwise you end up at that ventriloquist site. Themarkthompsonshow.com. And there you'll see Patreon and you'll see PayPal. You can make a one-time contribution there. It can be for, $10 or whatever you want. Or as much as you want, obviously, as well. If you leave a comment, we'll read the comment on the air, and it'll be this sort of circuitous way that we're going to give you the shout out, but we'll be able to recognize you for your support anyway. Not to mention, we'll put your name on the credits at the end of the show, just to let you know that we do appreciate it. So circuitous is a ding word. You're right. But I'm bummed out about this. It's just one of those things. So it's utter craziness, and I don't quite understand all of the YouTube stuff. John, do you think we can get through it this week?
Probably. It's just a matter of getting it resolved with them.
Okay.
It's by email, so.
Yeah, it's really I mean, they just you don't ever speak to anybody at YouTube.
Well, and they always respond with, "We fixed your problem."
Yeah. Did you see that the guy from Sesame Street passed away, Bob McGrath? Does everybody know who that is, Bob McGrath?
Which one is he?
Bob was a school teacher, right?
He was the, I should have, this is my fault, not telling you. Tony, can you get him? Tony, Bob McGrath? If you just Google him and put him up on the big screen so
Once
people
again,
are watching.
no respect for our teachers.
Yeah. He was an original cast member, nearly half a century. You'll know immediately when we put up his picture. He played a sweater-clad and easygoing music teacher who dispensed advice and really great advice, on everything from. You see him there? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was not particularly interested when an old fraternity brother stopped him one night to tell him about a new project, a children's show on public television. Then he'd also never heard of Jim Henson, never seen a Muppet, and after meeting with Henson and seeing the Muppet and the Muppet world, apparently he became interested. Sesame Street went on. Anybody? When did Sesame Street start? That's good. When did Sesame Street? What year did Sesame Street begin? In the chat, tell me in the chat, what year did Sesame Street premiere on PBS? 1968 says Deb. Tim says 1968. 1972 says Gil. 1975 says Loose. 1969 says Copper. Becky says 1970. Everybody's sniffing around the right time. 1970 says Debbie. 69 says Chad. 67 says Jeanette. What year did Sesame Street premiere? Ron, Karen, all late 70s. The answer is Sesame Street had its premiere in November of 1969, everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
It was all there around that brownstone stoop where they all sat there, gathered. And McGrath's character, named Bob, and of course that was his real name, always smiling, easygoing, and polite. Singing about people in your neighborhood, the butcher, the baker, lifeguard, discussing everyday concerns with young people or the Muppets. Going to Grouchy Town with Oscar the Grouch. When McGrath and two other longtime cast members, Emilio Delgado, who played Luis, and Roscoe Orman, who played Gordon, were fired in 2016, it was huge news. HBO took over Sesame Street, and they got rid of them. But McGrath apparently took the news graciously, it says here, expressing gratitude for 47 years of working with phenomenal people and for a whole career beyond Sesame Street of doing family concerts with major symphony orchestras.
Wait, so who sold out to HBO? Was it Big Bird, Cookie Monster?
Who took the big HBO money?
Yeah, they're like, sorry, Bal. They offered me so many cookies.
He married a preschool teacher in 1958, did McGrath. Met her on his first day in New York City. They had 5 children. He's survived by her, who's 89, and their 5 children. There he is, lived to 90. Bob McGrath, the original cast member for half a century, passes away. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I think
Wow.
I don't mean to bum you out. It was just more. I thought it was quite remarkable. But this is interesting. Cookies are expensive. You think that was the problem? Okay. All right. Again, sorry about the super chat situation. Sorry about the super sticker situation today on YouTube. We'll get to the bottom of it. The reason for it, as I say, has to do with accounts and confusion, but all of that will be handled today. So I hope it may extend for a couple of days, but we hope to at least address it or begin to address it today. And in the meantime, we direct you to themarkthompsonshow.com. There you can leave both money and you can also leave a comment for us, and we'll share that comment on the air. So that's our situation. It is Mark's Murder Mystery Monday. Mm-hmm. Courtney is here, and she has a murder mystery to tell you about. One you may know, but with some details you may not be familiar with. We'll do that after Kim's News next.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. More time now to get the real ID required to board flights or enter federal facilities. The Department of Homeland Security announcing the deadline will be pushed back from May 3rd of next year to May 7th of 2025. The DHS says the extension is necessary to address lingering impacts of the pandemic. There's an updated COVID vaccine for children under 5 that could be on the way. Pfizer submitted its application to the FDA as high levels of respiratory illness are circulating among young children. The new vaccine would serve as the third shot in the 3-dose primary series. Former President Trump's call to suspend the Constitution over the 2020 election getting some pushback from Twitter CEO Elon Musk. In a tweet pinned to the top of his profile, Musk wrote, "The Constitution is greater than any president, end of story." On Saturday, Trump claimed the Constitution's election rules should be suspended over fraud claims. The White House will be hosting a roundtable focused on fighting anti-Semitism. That happens on Wednesday. The event comes as former President Trump faces criticism for recently hosting a dinner with white nationalist Nick Fuentes and rapper Kanye West. Teenagers' brains aging faster because of pandemic-related stress. This is due to according to a study published in Biological Psychiatry, Global Open Science. It shows teens experienced higher levels of depression, anxiety, and fearfulness than before the pandemic. And researchers say they also found signs of premature aging in MRI scans. A California startup promising a flying car by the year 2025. Aleph Aeronautics from the Bay Area wants to start delivering its $300,000 Model A flying car to customers by the end of the year. Aleph is, by the end of 2025, I should say. Aleph is already taking deposits from potential customers. Costs $150 to get on the waiting list and $1,500 for a priority spot on the list. The company's CEO says building a flying car is no more complicated than building a Toyota Corolla. Is that true? I don't know. The town of Windsor in Sonoma County buzzing after the possible discovery of a new work from Banksy, the world-renowned mysterious street artist. The spray-painted image of the silhouette of a girl with a red heart-shaped balloon escaping her grasp suddenly appeared right on the side of the Windsor Masonic Lodge building. It also bears Banksy's signature. The Mutt Lynch winery owner told the Press Democrat the artwork wasn't there when she was last there on Thursday. She noticed it the first thing Saturday morning. So far, Banksy has yet to verify the work as his own, but that hasn't stopped locals from taking pictures with the street art. And the tweets of that and posts of that are pretty much everywhere. There's a Colorado festival dedicated to a frozen dead guy being resurrected in a new location. Frozen Dead Guy Days will be held on St. Patrick's Day weekend, about an hour and a half northwest of Denver. That's what they call it, Frozen Dead Guy Days. Sure. The festival is based on the true story of a
The working title,
man.
Or is that the actual title? I guess that's the actual title for now.
That's
all
what
right,
they
okay.
went with. Yeah. It's based on the true story of a Norwegian man who was frozen after his death and then brought to Colorado by his grandson, and they celebrate it Frozen Dead Guy Days.
Wow.
Yeah. This report sponsored by tax attorney.
That's what I'm looking for in a grandson. Someone will take my frozen corpse to various celebrations.
Right.
Never
you know, so you're revered. You're honored in every
Exactly.
way
You're revered.
Even years after your death.
Revered is a ding word, I think. I don't know. All right, go ahead. Anyway.
Ding. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. It's 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it.
You are high as a kite.
I'm ready for a new adventure.
I do hug and kiss people casually.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Smash it with your iron rod.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
No, no, no.
We have processes and protocols and standards. We have processes and protocols and standards.
We do have processes, protocols, and standards. Apparently, there's some protocol associated with the YouTube that has jinxed us on the chats today. But we do nonetheless recognize donations that people have made through our Patreon and PayPal links. They are at themarkthompsonshow.com. So if you want to please make that your place of donation right now. That will help us, as YouTube has messed with us a little bit. It's I think it's not their, I don't know, it's somebody's fault right now.
They do this to you all the time, actually.
They do it to me all the time. And I don't know what the hell they do it for.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
But nonetheless, so these are shout outs that I can do, I believe. Catherine Chiaro, is that right? Are these are for real, John?
Yep.
Okay. This is unreal. I mean, this is incredible, these donations. Catherine Chiaro gave us $100. Is that through PayPal or is that through?
Yeah, that's PayPal.
Wow, that is
I'm not gonna cry! I'm not gonna cry!
I had $100 though. I'm pretty close to tears. I have to be honest. I mean, I'm not, Catherine, but
I'm not gonna cry! I'm not gonna cry!
I am going to give you a big shout out.
Big shout out.
I'm going to give you a
Thank you so much.
and a British thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
A Will Smith thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And so that is my full complement of thank yous. Sincerely, that is extraordinary, and we very much appreciate that, Catherine. $100. Wow. Donna Hobbs, $52? This is insane.
I'm not gonna cry! I'm not gonna cry!
But that, again, is close to my... And Michelle Harrison for $50.
Big shout out.
All right.
I'm not gonna cry! I'm not gonna cry!
Donna and Michelle, both, thank you so very much. I'll give you
Thank you so much.
the British thank you so much. I also want to give you a thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's really quite generous of you. Really, really cool. I so appreciate the workaround today on the super chats, and that's really great. A round of applause to all of you who've jumped in through both Patreon and PayPal. This guy is so important to the show and keeping things going, and so let's just check in with Moskowitz real quick.
The Mark Thompson Show.
How about it for my sugar daddy, Steve Moskowitz, everybody? Hi, Steve. Steve, I had a nice, long conversation with Steve Moskowitz over the weekend, and I learned so much about him. You know, you may know this cab driver, you know, the fact that he was a cab driver, right, Steve? You were a cab driver in New York.
Absolutely, I was a New York City cabbie.
And you have those kind of everyman roots, and so this is what I want you, this is how it applies to your services now. I mean, obviously you've gone out and got advanced degrees, law degrees, accounting degrees, but still you have this very approachable style. And I want people to know that they can call you with whatever their issue is, and you will tell them if you can help them where they might be able to organize their taxes in a different way so as to take advantage of the many skills you have to know the tax code and see how it works for us.
Absolutely. And Mark, I'm just really a simple guy. And also, I want all your listeners to know that it's a safe place. We have attorney-client privilege, and sometimes people don't go to a doctor and die because they're too embarrassed to show the doctor some messy, oozing thing. And they say, well, I'm too embarrassed to disrobe and show them that. And they die because of it, or they suffer. Or they're just, sometimes people are just embarrassed. We have attorney-client privilege. That means literally if you told me you literally murdered somebody, by law, I can't say a thing to anybody. So,
Is there any murder that could be tax write-off? I don't think so, though. It wouldn't apply to my taxes. Well, if there is a way.
So what's so vitally important, whoever talks to me, I want to feel it's a safe place. It's a sanctuary. It's sanctum sanctorum. It's a safe place. And you can tell me anything. And it doesn't matter whether you hire me or not. It's not a secret only if you hire me. If we talk and you decide not to, that's okay. It's a secret. And I swear there's nothing I say, oh, you did what? At this point in my career, I've heard a lot of stuff. So there's a very, very big chance that, the thing that's just bothering you the most, that eats your guts out at night, that doesn't let you enjoy the ball game, it's just eating at you like a cancer. We've probably dealt with it before, and there might be a good chance we can help you. But the bottom line is it's a safe place. At least we can talk about it. And I can say, well, here's what can be done. And, that's true of whatever you've done, or if you're entitled to a benefit or anything else. I'm just a simple guy, but I have a lot of experience. And I just talk to you in just, normal, simple terms.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a great point. We always feel as though we're the only ones who are in some predicament. We're the only ones who did something.
Mark, I hear that all the time. There's some very common tax problems that are floating around. And you'd be amazed how many people call me and say, Steve, have you ever handled a case like this before? And I say, oh my God, we've done thousands of them.
So don't be at all shy about sharing your situation with Steve. And again, as we are at the end of the year, and we'll talk more about this in the weeks to come, it's important, and certain things and advantages accrue to you at the end of the year as well as a taxpayer. So you should take advantage of those. So, as I say, we'll address them with Steve. You can reach Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL, 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 or also online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, love talking to you. Talk to you next hour.
Thanks so much, Mark.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm going to start texting Steve my innermost thoughts.
He seems as though he is someone who could keep a secret, which is not a bad quality.
And I bet he would have a lot of interesting things to say in return. So,
yeah. I mean, there's a whole hot texting relationship apparently in the office.
Now, why do you take it in that direction?
Because it feels like it was going in that direction.
Always going for the low-hanging fruit.
You're trying to take Moskowitz to a dark place, and I won't permit it. That's what I'm
Maybe you
calling
can
you
have
out
one
on
of these confessional shows, and we could call it Taxi Cab.
Oh, that's good. Because of tax.
Right.
I love that,
people
actually.
can spill their guts to Steve about their tax situation.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It just might work. Work.
He seems like that friend that always has level-headed, reasonable, good advice.
I think that's absolutely true, by the way. But he also has insane knowledge to go with that friendship and, confidence. So that's the cool thing. Definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Smash the like button like a boss for Steve Moskowitz and for all of us here on the show. Yeah, we're having a little hiccup with YouTube today just on the Super Chats, but thank you those who've gone to Patreon and PayPal with one-time donations. That's really a great way to kind of make up for the problem we're having with YouTube, and you can get that at themarkthompsonshow.com. There are links to everything. It's Monday. We talk murder with Courtney, and it's Mark's Murder.
Welcome to Mark's Murder Mystery Monday.
Oh, my God. Wow, that's a very strong opening. It's tough to live up to that. Here she is, Courtney, everybody. Wow.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
You can see Courtney's superhero figure in the. Oh my God, that didn't go well. This is her.
Yeah, that looks exactly like me.
That's a reasonable facsimile. All right.
And then you got Mark's little superhero right next door.
That's
true.
Yeah.
We'll
put hers. We'll put hers in front because she's.
Do your heads bobble? Are they bobble?
They do a little bobble, a little mini bobble, but not really.
Okay.
I think that was $49.99 extra. We didn't go for that. But anyway, Courtney, welcome. First of all, there have been questions about the Idaho murders.
Yes.
And you did feature them here once before.
I did.
Can you just give us some additional comments? People are asking, do you have a theory as to what happened? There's somebody in the chat felt that there might be a drug deal that went bad, why certain people in the house were killed and not everybody was.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but it has come out in the last week that several things have come out, but one of the most telling, perhaps, evidences of what happened was that actually Kaylee Gonsalves, she was overkilled, as they would call it. So she was sleeping in the same bed as her best friend Maddie, and they were on the 3rd floor. So the perpetrator entered in the 2nd floor. He killed Xana and her boyfriend Ethan, and then he traveled upstairs to the 3rd floor where Maddie and Kaylee were sleeping, and he proceeded to kill those 2 girls. They were both in Maddie's room, but Kaylee suffered far greater than Maddie did. So there was an excessive amount of trauma that happened to Kaylee. So they are saying, or at least her parents are saying, Kaylee's, that Kaylee was in fact the target of the attack. There was also a 6th roommate on the lease. So the home, I had done research on the home. The home had 6 bedrooms. So I thought it was interesting that they were only reporting 5 of the girls, 5 of the women that were living there. But there was in fact a 6th roommate. But I hadn't heard anything about drugs. I mean, it was known as a party house, and clearly the perpetrator knew the layout of the home and where people were sleeping, because they knew enough to go upstairs to kill Maddie and Kaylee.
But there are no real leads in all of this, huh?
No, there are no leads. But yeah, there are no leads. I mean, there's slowly more information is coming out, but there's no, as I know it, there's no physical evidence and there are no leads. 1,000 tips have come in. So when I was reporting on this 2 or 3 weeks ago, there were about 600. So more tips are coming in. But the families are very frustrated with where the police are in the investigation.
Courtney, I heard the police actually say they thought that it was going to come down to tips from the public to actually apprehend the perpetrator. And we'll talk more about that as they come in. What do you have for us today?
Well, today I have a murder that probably a lot of your audience is familiar with. And are the chats working? Is it just the super chats?
No, the chats work.
Okay.
It's just that the donations today don't work. The super chats and super stickers don't work. But yeah, the chat is working.
Okay, because I'm covering the Casey Anthony case. And this was a request actually in the first week that I was on. Someone wrote about this, and I was going to cover it because of the documentary that came out last week. And so, and then I wasn't sure. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't want to give her airtime, but it's quite controversial because, in fact, most people believe that she is a psychopath who killed her daughter, but some people are actually looking at the documentary and it is swaying their opinion as to who actually perpetrated the crime.
That's her, the dark-haired woman there in the picture that you sent us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yes. And just quickly, and I know you give me a hard time, but my sources were Mama Mystery, 10 to Life, NPR. Nancy Grace did a lot on this. She actually called her Tot Mom, and did quite extensive coverage at the time.
What?
Marsha Clark, TMZ, and TikTok.
Wow.
So Casey Anthony was a 22-year-old single mother from Florida. Kaylee Anthony was her 2-year-old daughter. Casey actually lied about who the father was of Kaylee and actually lied about being pregnant with Kaylee.
We're seeing Kaylee there with all her little stuffed animals. It's so sad. So she was the child who was murdered. Yes,
she was the child that was murdered, but we don't know who the father is. And then there are Casey Anthony's parents. So there are really 4 main people that I'll talk about in the crime. Casey Anthony's parents are Cindy and George Anthony. Her mother is a nurse and her father is a former police officer and detective. So Kaylee goes missing on June 16th, 2008, but her disappearance is not reported until July 15th of 2008 when Cindy Anthony, Casey's mother, calls 911. And she calls 911 3 times frantically, trying to get her daughter arrested while she's in the car with her daughter. And so...
This is the mother.
Okay. This is the mother. And
trying to get her arrested for...
Well, exactly. So she tries to get her arrested for stealing their car, which was a Pontiac Sunbird, I think.
Yeah.
And what had happened is the car had been towed and it was in an impound lot. And so Casey's father, George, goes to pick up the car, drives it back to the house. And it becomes very quickly apparent that there was a decomposing body in the trunk of the car and that the car was abandoned at this check cashing place. So Cindy calls the police to have her daughter arrested for stealing the car and for the disappearance of her daughter.
Wow.
Yeah. And
and then the cops did respond to that
yeah,
request.
they responded. If you listen to the 911 calls, they're like, yeah, we already have police on the way.
Wow.
It's like, we're trying to get there. Now, to be fair, they took quite a while to get there, but yeah, she called 3 times. Kaylee actually goes missing on June 16th. That's the last time anybody sees Kaylee. And she goes disappearing from her house. So the last time she is seen is at their house, which is in Orlando, Florida. Casey starts her day by going to MySpace and looking up photos of shot girl costumes, which is how one usually starts their day.
What are shot girl costumes?
I think it's like what you wear in a bar.
Oh, I see.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Like a shot of booze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
And her mother leaves early for work just before 7. And Casey and Kaylee are kind of sitting around the house. Casey pretends like she's going to work at about 1 o'clock, but she doesn't have a job. So she's been lying about having a job for several years.
Who's she pretending to? Her mom?
Yeah, her parents. Her dad's at the house. But she was pretending to everybody, her friends, her family. And so Casey's father leaves for work at about 2:30. At 2:51...
His job is a cop.
Yeah, but I think he was security at this point. I think
see.
he was a retired cop.
Okay.
At 2:51, Casey does a search for foolproof suffocation, which is probably not a good thing to search for on the family computer.
Pretty damning.
Yeah, misspelling suffocation as well. And then there are several phone calls from about 3 to 4, and then at 4:11, Casey's cell phone leaves the house. She's next seen at close to 8 o'clock, 7:54, where she's at Blockbuster with her boyfriend, but there is no Kaylee. So that's the events of the day and the very last time that anybody saw Kaylee. For the next month, Casey is making excuses about where Kaylee is. She's claiming that Kaylee is with someone named Zanny, the nanny. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think that's a cover for Xanax, that she would give Kaylee Xanax and have her kind of sedate her so she could go out and party.
Was there a nanny named Zanny?
There was a woman named...
If there is a nanny, Zanny's a strong choice as a name. I'm Zanny the nanny.
I mean, I'm sure there are people that have Zanny the nanny.
I see.
You know,
but
around.
This might not have been one of them.
This is not. Yeah, this was a woman named Zenaida Gonzalez. Yeah,
maybe.
She stole her name. She had seen her name on something, stole her name, and pretended that Zenaida was the nanny.
Oh, but the Zenaida had no relationship to Casey Anthony.
No.
Okay.
No. And then, so I'll go over later a couple of things that happened during that time. But on July 15th, as I mentioned, Casey's mother, Cindy, calls 911 3 times. And in that claims that the family car smells like a decomposing body. Casey's arrested and held for child neglect, obstructing an investigation, and making false official statements to police.
So the kid goes missing. She's been Googling suffocating. Even the chat, they're saying she was Googling home recipes for chloroform.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mother, noticing that the car smelled like a decomposing body, calls the cops. Casey Anthony's arrested. Okay. Then what happens? So
Casey Anthony is arrested, and I'll go over some details in a bit, but just on
how long did you plan on being here with the I'll be doing this in a bit, I'll be doing that in a bit?
Well, I was trying to do like a shortened version.
I appreciate I'm enthralled by the story.
You know, Mark, I need more time. It's
very
hard to go
through.
It's hard to go through Casey Anthony this quickly.
All right.
But on December 11th, Casey's remains are found, and they're just around the corner from the Anthony's home. She's wrapped in a Winnie the Pooh blanket. She has duct tape that was believed to be covering her nose and mouth, and she was put in a trash bag and a laundry bag, which all came from the Anthony home.
All those things came from the Anthony home. Okay,
yes.
So we know somebody in the Anthony home killed her, probably Casey.
Yes.
What did Casey, who was Casey blaming?
So at the time, Casey was found not guilty, and her defense had claimed that Kaylee died in an accident in the above-ground pool at the family's home, and that it was just her family had basically tried to not report the accident and bury the young girl and cover for Casey.
And a jury bought that?
Yeah, because the jury's. Yeah, I mean,
they bought and the family to cover the accidental death of the daughter, duct taped her and put her. I mean, it's insanity.
Well, it's interesting because something that the brother Lee, who I wasn't really going to talk about because there's so many people, but Lee had said to investigators,
I'll talk about him later.
You know, Mark, I don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the brother Lee said
that they had actually. I hate to even mention this, but that's how they had buried the family pets. Is they would put them in trash bags and then in other bags and then bury them, and they had wrapped the animals in blankets. So that kind of behavior or what they would have done for an animal was reflective
that
of
ritual, that protocol was but with duct tape. What you said there was duct tape.
I mean, I don't think they were duct taping the poor little pets.
Because a child is so much like a pet, right? I mean,
exactly.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to deny. So go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But
so the jury somehow believed that to the point that they acquitted her in the trial.
They acquitted her, but they said that they didn't. The prosecution didn't give a motive. And they were looking for a motive and that there wasn't enough evidence. But the judge has recently come out. His name is Belvin Perry, saying that this documentary is all the crap that, and he used the word crap.
There's a documentary about it.
That Casey Anthony had tried to bring in through the trial, and that he thought that the prosecution had given enough evidence for a guilty verdict.
Have you seen the documentary, or are you familiar with it?
Yes, I watched all 4 hours of the documentary.
Surprised, not surprised. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
What?
Yeah, okay. I know, right. Exactly.
We'll talk about that later.
I wonder if that's what I wanted to ask about your audience, is if anybody else had seen it.
I see.
But in my mind, it was just another platform for Casey to be able to talk about herself as a victim, claim that she had no participation in the murder. And
Eric's saying the motive is that her kid got into her party time. I think that's exactly right. She didn't want to have the kid.
Yeah, and I mean, there were things that happened exactly to that point. There were things that happened that 30 days that Kaylee was missing. She was in a hot body contest. She got a tattoo, The Good Life, the Bella Vita. She was lying to everybody. She was stealing money. And it was very clear that she wanted the life of someone who would be 22 without a child and without the responsibilities of a child.
So in summary, where are we now with a documentary that floats a bunch of BS theories, according to the judge who was actually presiding over the trial?
Yeah.
It's just another vehicle, essentially, because she was acquitted, she's still out there kind of blasting away at what is just, I mean, I don't know this case like you do. You know it on a granular level. I know I'm kind of pushing you along here, but it sounds as though she's wanting to, as I say, push her BS theories as to what happened to cover her own ass.
Yeah, I had heard one person talk about Casey had to actually pay back the state of Florida for the resources that were expended in searching for Kaylee, because she lied about having talked to Kaylee, so they thought Kaylee was still alive. And that after she had fulfilled that payment, that now the documentary came out because she can keep all the money, and also that she had spent the last 10 years or 11 years kind of putting together this plot line of what had happened that she's claiming. But it's really unfortunate, and because of double jeopardy, she won't be tried again.
Yeah, I mean, for murder, that it won't happen. Gosh.
Yeah. But I'm curious. It's been very there's a lot of divide between whether or not people believe that Casey Anthony killed her daughter or are being persuaded by the documentary that perhaps it was her father.
Well, there are people in the chat. You'll see it in the if you go to the chat, you can actually engage some of these people right now, and. Yeah, you can offer your theories. I mean, it seems to me pretty clear cut, but she involved the father and the mother, and were they involved in some way?
Yeah.
I mean, the mother, she called 911 on the daughter. I don't think she was involved.
Yeah, the dad is definitely kind of strange. I mean, the whole family's dysfunctional, but the dad was definitely strange. But that doesn't seem like he would have killed the little girl or done some of the atrocious things that Casey is claiming. So.
Thank you, Courtney. I
course.
thought this went very well. Thorough.
Thanks.
I know we cram you into a short time.
Mark, I need more time.
More time. All right. Well, we'll try to give you more time next time. All right.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Courtney, everybody. Yes.
Mark's Murder Mystery Monday on the Mark Thompson Show.
It is very mysterious, the whole thing. I don't know. You can share your thoughts in the chat. Courtney will jump into the chat too, maybe. At least she'll jump in to read your thoughts. Thank you to read your thoughts. To make a contribution today, you can't do it through Super Chat and through the super stickers. You normally do it. We have to do it through Patreon today and also through PayPal. Those links are at themarkthompsonshow.com. And you can leave a one-time donation, particularly through PayPal, I guess. But it's crazy. It's because of a YouTube hiccup, and we're dealing with it and may extend into tomorrow. So good thing to know, themarkthompsonshow.com with links to everything. Next, we do some Law and Disorder. Kim's news follows. Smash that like button like a boss. Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Former Vice President Pence speaking out after his one-time boss claimed the Constitution should be suspended over the 2020 election. Not sure if you saw that over the weekend. In an interview with a South Carolina radio station, Pence said everyone who aspires to serve in public office should defend the Constitution. Former President Trump's comments were made after the release of internal Twitter communications showing company officials chose to limit the reach of a New York Post article about the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. 3 people are dead after Russian forces launched a new wave of missile strikes against Ukraine today. According to Ukrainian officials, explosions were reported in several parts of the country, power cut off areas to the north. Ukrainian President Zelensky said air defenses in Kyiv intercepted most of those missiles. The FBI is investigating a suspicious power outage in North Carolina. Authorities say about 40,000 people are without power and running water in Moore County east of Charlotte after someone shot up electrical equipment Saturday night. A slate of emergency and mandatory curfew laws are in place as crews try to restore power there. The United Nations launching a $10 billion appeal to help children suffering from climate-related weather events after the pandemic. The money will go toward malnutrition treatment, measles vaccinations, access to safe water, mental health support, and gender-based violence risk mitigation. UNICEF says the campaign will support more than 110 million children across 155 countries through the next year. California's governor taking more action on high gas prices. Gavin Newsom will look at other ways of bringing relief during a special legislative session today. He also wants to hold oil industry executives and companies accountable, saying drivers are being ripped off. He'll discuss penalizing companies to prevent price gouging. He feels that will increase transparency and protect against what he called outrageous spikes in the future. Right now, the statewide average $4.77 a gallon. Although I will say John Daly found gas in the $3.99 range yesterday.
Yeah, he really knows how to hunt for gas.
Yeah, $3.91 at Pat Thurston's Arco, the one in right off of 101 in Southern Marin.
In the Strawberry area, Corte Madera, yeah.
No.
Pretty good. $3.99. Who would have thought? $3.99? Are you out of your mind? This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. Now you can just call him with your problems. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. It's 888 Tax Deal. He's online too, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash it! with your iron rod. Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Everything is going extremely well.
Call me a liar. Is that what you call him?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist and you are a liar.
Liar, your pants are on fire!
Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
No.
I'm going to tell you what I think.
What are the porn stars doing?
Do you have a secret now?
Doesn't anybody better weed?
100% effective. How about that?
Say what?
And this is their new host.
There is no defense for my conduct.
I misspoke. I stand corrected. And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Time's up, mother effers.
What up, everybody? It is great to have you here on this Monday, Mark Thompson Show with Kim, with the whole crew. We've got Tony in the mix today for the first time in a while. Tony, great to have you back.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, and John is here, of course, fabulous
producer John Daly.
And Kim, as I say, you just heard her news,
Kim, how are
and
you?
she did hip you to the low-cost gas, first spotted by fabulous producer John Daly. It's in the Petaluma region, or is it the Strawberry region?
Southern Marin, Strawberry.
Southern Marin. Okay.
It's that last exit before you turn towards Sausalito.
Okay. Yeah. What's happening now today, I'll address two things. First of all, I've asked Courtney to look at the chat, so your suggestions as to what story she might do, what murder she might cover, murder mysteries really is what we cover on Mondays. Those are included in the chat. You can also reach us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. So you can reach us that way simply, and you can that way suggest multiple mysteries that she may want to feature. The other thing that I want to mention that's been coming up in the chat is that today, because of a YouTube hiccup that we're working out, we have no super chats and we have no super stickers, which really sucks because it's the way that we, monetizing the show is the way we keep the show on. But again, we're going to iron this out this week. It's because they have two parallel accounts. And again, we'll always tell you exactly what's happening here. It's not because of anything.
We're going to smash it.
We're going to smash it like an iron rod. I do think that the
Smashed it with your iron rod.
I do think that the momentum we have is still there. It's just that so this has nothing to do with the show itself. It has to do with the confusion about the account, and we don't want to close down one account because that they're holding on to all of our contributions. So we have to be careful about how we do it, and we can't reach anybody at YouTube to actually speak with, so everything's done via email. That's the truth. That's the everything without taking into all the back and forth. John and I are on this, and we hope to get it ironed out in the next couple of days, I would think. But meantime, you can go to Patreon and PayPal. Do that through themarkthompsonshow.com. Just put it right in themarkthompsonshow.com. Whatever device you're on, you can contribute. Make it a one-time contribution on PayPal. Make it a one-time contribution on Patreon. If Patreon asks you for more than one, just cancel it after the first one. You make one contribution and then, whatever. So it's again, you have to do a little more work on it today, but really appreciate you doing that work. I do have, I've got the Law and Disorder coming up. Oh, you want to do this now? Teresa West? Wow, Teresa West, come on.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Teresa West. $23. She went to that extra trouble of going to, was it Patreon or was it PayPal, John? PayPal. Thank you
PayPal's
very
probably
much.
the easiest option to get something through quickly.
Yeah, just go. You click on PayPal, boom, it's done. Thank you, and then we'll recognize you. You can also leave us a message, so there's that. But big shout out to Teresa.
Big shout out.
We had a couple. We had Catherine and Donna and Michelle last hour, all contributing. So thank you so much. Where's Pat Thurston? Asked Karen D. Let me quickly address that. You can text in any questions or.
Why don't you just text it?
Always happy to hear from you in the chat while you're smashing the like button like a boss. Pat is going to KCBS Radio. Why isn't she here today? Because her schedule at KCBS changed at the last second, and she wasn't able to make it today. We're going to reschedule her for later this week. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, she's at work right now, and she'll get a schedule, and she'll let us know.
Yeah, so that's the deal.
Fabulous producer,
but
John
if
Daly.
We wanted Pat today, and I was excited about Pat, but we're going to have her later this week. So, anything else I need to do? Johnny, am I good?
Nope, you're good.
All right. I'd like to get into the world of the legal system, those who are in prison, those who should be, those who are busted, all the rest. We do it in a segment regularly here we call Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, the U.S. Border Patrol is touting their largest fentanyl bust ever. Enough fentanyl to kill over 5 million people, Kim.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Chief Patrol Agent Gloria Chavez of the Rio Grande Valley Sector Border Patrol.
You know where that is.
Is that it's like a mile and a half past the Whole Foods there on the right?
It's that last one by the border.
Extremely proud, she said, of these agents that she mentions. Authorities who work together and interdicted and seized the largest amount of liquid fentanyl in the history of the USA from a traffic stop in Robstown, Texas. Interdicted should be a ding word, though, don't you think?
Liquid fentanyl.
Yeah, that's I guess 25 pounds, equivalent to 3 gallons of the liquid fentanyl in a compartment within a gas tank is where they found it.
Oh.
It was worth a total of $1.8 million. What was that, Kim? Go ahead.
I was reading about liquid fentanyl the other day.
Were you?
And I was doing a little research.
Mark, I was doing some light reading about liquid fentanyl before I went to bed the other night.
Apparently, it's the newest way to take fentanyl.
Oh.
So, usually you see the pills coming through, but the liquid fentanyl, I think that's even more scary.
You can also drink bleach.
No,
yeah,
you
it's
you may not drink bleach.
It's
and this is their new hoax.
Yeah, I'm always astounded by the numbers when it comes to the potential fatal nature of fentanyl. They say there's enough here to kill a population of 5.6 million. They make that a point in their release. Fentanyl is used to build out the cocaine and the other stuff meth that people take, right? I mean, it's not that they're taking the fentanyl. It's that it's used to as I say, build it out or supplement, if you want to think of it that way. Isn't that how it's used?
Is that right?
I guess, yeah.
I don't understand.
It's highly addictive.
They're stretching it out. It's like adding baby powder to cocaine.
Exactly.
Deadly baby powder.
Yeah, deadly baby powder, right. Massive amounts of fentanyl have been seized this year in different parts of the country, with the DEA saying that its law enforcement seized more than 10.2 million fentanyl pills and approximately 980 pounds of fentanyl powder between May and September. The amount of fentanyl taken off the streets during this surge is equivalent to more than 36 million lethal doses. Wow. Anyway, that was the biggest fentanyl bust in the history of Border Patrol interdiction. The man who punched that Asian woman 125 times in New York gets 17 years in prison. He's being sent away for a long time. Yeah. He was caught on video punching an elderly Asian woman 125 times this year. Tamel Esco, 42, sentenced to 17 and a half years in state prison, 5 years of post-release supervision.
As we say on the Mark
assault.
Thompson Show, sayonara, sucker.
Yeah, sayonara, see you later. Or don't see you later.
Sayonara, sucker.
That's exactly right. The worker, this deals with U.S. elections, who pled guilty in the election equipment tampering case. I'll just remind you, this is a former elections manager, and she assisted in a security breach of voting equipment. This is in Colorado, this took place, okay? And this is all part of that, trying to get the election for Trump. Sandra Brown is one of 2 employees accused of helping Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters allow a copy of a hard drive to be made during an update of election equipment last year in search of proof of the false conspiracy theories spun by the former president. She's 45 years old. She pleaded guilty to attempting to influence a public servant, which is a felony, and official misconduct, which is a misdemeanor. She will not be sentenced until right after she testifies at the trial of the boss, okay, who she was helping. In August, the chief deputy also pleaded guilty under a deal that requires her to testify against the boss. So you begin to see how they've made plea deals with the underlings who are very much involved in this plot, apparently, but who are all aiding the top person there in the Colorado election equipment tampering case. Pretty wild. The crime coverage, the whole sense you had on how bad crime was in America and is in America, you were getting that just nonstop before the midterms. You're getting that on Fox News Channel, right? I mean, essentially, the GOP was saying, hey, the Democrats are soft on crime. Crime is at an all-time high, all this sort of thing, even though the stats didn't bear that out. Please don't misunderstand me. I think that's a reasonable conversation to have about crime in the streets and criminal lawlessness, and you can even see where the Venn diagrams of homeless populations and lawlessness, you see where those diagrams cross, where there is overlap. But that said, it was wall-to-wall on Fox News Channel. After the midterms, what happened to that coverage? It fell by a half. Crime coverage on Fox News halved once the U.S. midterms were over. Just a week after the elections, the number of weekly segments focused on crime slashed in half on Fox News Channel. In the weeks leading up to the U.S. midterm elections, the message from Fox News is clear. Violent crime is surging. Cities are dangerous hellscapes, and Democrats are responsible for it. With the vote over, the right-wing news channel appears to be deciding things weren't that bad after all.
Oh, thank you.
They've decreased their coverage of violent crime by 50% compared with the pre-election coverage. Media Matters for America, which is a media watchdog group, found that each week from Labor Day until the Friday before the Tuesday, a midterm, the network averaged 141 segments on crime across the weekday schedule. The blanket crime coverage matched the Republican Party's efforts to depict violent crime as out of control and portray Democrats as responsible. In the week of the midterms, however, once voting was over, Fox News aired just 71 segments. Yeah. It crescendoed right before Election Day, and then once the election was over, so was America's crime crisis. Crescendoed is a ding word for sure.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
well, they have to make room for coverage of Hunter Biden's laptop.
Right. That's what we're going to hear a lot about. They fully will investigate that. Meantime, to add some credibility to the crime situation around the Bay Area, police around the Bay Area are warning the public of thefts, car break-ins, and general mayhem during holiday shopping. Yeah.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Yeah, public thefts, car break-ins, and general mayhem.
Can I just point out?
Yes.
I just point out Squarius, who is a diehard Mark Thompson fan, posts in the chat that his wife's car got jacked. Speaking of carjackings, and
someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know.
The car's wife got jacked and were drawn away. I will smash the button. However,
yeah.
Well, that's very nice. That's awful.
Yeah, but just to kind of bash home what you're talking about there.
Yeah. That's really rough, Squarius. I'm sorry about that, and I hope they either recover the car and or get insurance to cover the car. That's really awful. What an awful way to have the holiday season punctuated, and that's what the cops are saying around the Bay Area. I'm always curious how somebody jacks a car. Is that keys left in it? Probably not, right? Those are, they smash in and they jimmy this or that, and they're able to get the car started. It's so
most
in
of
the
time
movies.
People are in the car and they just force them.
Oh wow!
Gunpoint.
Maybe Squarius will let us know how they figured a way to jack the car. Yeah. Holidays coming with expected increase in car break-ins, especially at malls and shopping centers, say Bay Area cops. The holiday season kicked off with a parade inside San Jose's East Ridge Mall. Santa the Grand Marshal, smiles everywhere, but the cops are saying, hey, while you're smiling, keep an eye on your stuff. Retired San Jose police lieutenant says the crooks are out there. They're everywhere. Security's out in force at Bay Area malls, both inside and out. Sunnyvale cops say that their burglary suppression detail will be out in force looking for thieves.
Why are you yelling?
I like the idea of a burglary suppression detail. I just think that's a cool name. Like, I'd like to have that on a business card. Mike Thompson, burglary suppression. Yeah, if you know or you hear of anything, contact me. They say closing windows and sunroofs is important. Park in a well-lit area. Lock your car. Don't leave your garage opener in plain view. Don't leave items with personal information. Wow. Those are some good tips. I really mean it. That's, for a quieter holiday. The situation with Brittney Griner is wild. Did you, I know she's not imprisoned in this country, but man, she has got a rough ride over there.
She's at a hard labor camp now. And
that's
apparently
exactly right.
Work is brutal.
Yeah. This is the IK2 penal colony. By the way, the Russians contacted the State Department to say that she was going to be moved to this hard labor camp, as Kim says. But she had been moved 3 weeks prior to them telling the Americans about it. So it's not as though the Russians are keeping us updated on her situation. The inmates
they have to work long shifts, and they can't go to the bathroom. So it's basically like an Amazon warehouse.
Oh, that's exactly it. Imagine an Amazon warehouse where everybody speaks Russian and they barely feed you. The inmates at IK2 Penal Colony, they get up at 6 a.m. each day, a breakfast of milk porridge, bread, and tea. Then they leave the barracks. They have them in these barracks, bunk bed barracks, or a bunch of them crammed in. And it's about 300 miles southeast of Moscow. It's an isolated place in Mordovia. As John says, forced labor. They have them sewing. They do a lot of that kind of thing. Short break for lunch. By nightfall, prisoners are fed dinner and allowed an hour or less of free time before going to sleep in dormitories crowded with scores of bunk beds. The routine reportedly can stretch for weeks on end with no days off. Now, she is very noticeable, right? She's, 6'8"? She was over there, just to remind you, playing basketball in Russia. She was making $1 million a year just doing that. So in addition to being a WNBA star, she was over there doing that, and they found in her stuff, they found some vaping cartridges, and they just had residue, depending on, exactly what account you believe, of a CBD. And as a result, she's convicted, and it's a little unclear as to whether her high-profile status as a prisoner is working for her or working against her. We know she doesn't speak Russian. You learn sort of functional Russian in this environment, but it's also a gang culture. It's scary. I mean, it's scary and it's grim. So there are negotiations going on to try to get her out. But as I've said before, the situation when you're high profile works both for you and against you. For you because you get more public attention and there's more public outcry to try to gain your release. It works against you because you become a bigger pawn and a bigger political prisoner. And she is a political prisoner. Make no mistake about it. I mean, you would not have her imprisoned like this were she not who she is. And I suspect, not the Ukraine crisis going on and the war in Ukraine going on. So there's a lot wrapped up at Brittney Griner, but it is a brutal life. The hundreds of prisons in Russia, 21 facilities clustered in Mordovia, are especially notorious. Humanitarian groups based in Moscow allege that the labor conditions at this IK2 facility violate national law. Medical care is limited. Substandard food provides little sustenance, especially during long, cold winters. Sustenance is a ding word, by the way. The people who were in the band Pussy Riot, the punk band, they were there for a shorter time. And they reported it's just utter chaos in there. Anyway, that's the situation with Brittney Griner. Pretty brutal. The couple accused of selling nuclear secrets, they were sentenced. Long jail sentences for Diana Toby, 46, and her husband, then 43-year-old Jonathan Toby. He's a former nuclear engineer for the U.S. Navy. And there was a submarine nuclear propulsion system that they sold the plans for to a foreign country.
Was it China?
An attempt. I believe it was China.
Yeah, I thought it was China. So what did they were sentenced finally?
Yeah, 21 years in prison, a federal judge said. This just happened a couple days ago.
Does that seem long enough to you for selling nuclear secrets to a foreign enemy?
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't. No. Of course not. And the other thing is that, I mean, it's a long time, but make no mistake about it. I mean, he'll be, 63, 64 when he gets out. But it also is something, and this is a question about the system of jurisprudence and the prison system and, sentencing and jurisprudence is a ding word. Are you doing this to also send a message? These people are trusted with top secret information. Mm-hmm. You cannot sanction in any way, even in the sentencing process, that they can get away with this, right? That's why the situation with Trump grabbing 11,000 documents, many of which were top secret.
Sure.
That can't be allowed to stand. You need to send a message. You can't walk with that stuff, regardless of who you are. But you're right, Kim. This is just doesn't seem like long enough.
You have to assume that it could be used against us, right? I mean, sure. You're giving nuclear plans to someone who could use them against America. So you're putting Americans at risk. And I'm sorry, but 21 years is not long enough for that. That's treasonous.
So she said, through a lawyer, of course, that this submarine nuclear propulsion system sale was really that it was really about her husband, like it was his idea kind of thing.
Yeah. It's all my husband's idea.
And ABC News identified the country as Brazil.
No.
Oh, Brazil. Yeah, they're a great bunch of crowd people. Chris says, bury him alive. I'm not saying bury him alive, Chris, but I'm saying like life in prison is probably too good for them.
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous, but that's what they got. Around 20 years for both of them. And finally, I had one more. Do I have time? I don't really have time. We'll
that story
bump it to
was
tomorrow.
Sent in by E. Deli Gotti.
Yeah, E. Deli Gotti. Come on, E. Deli. There is such craziness when it comes to guns. Can I do that tomorrow, John? the gun stuff, all those gun stories I sent to you, just utterly wild. We'll save them. Don't worry. We'll keep them simmering for tomorrow. And it's just crazy. I mean, we had a couple of them last week, and just, gun accidents and, gunplay that erupts in situations you just wouldn't think it would. Anyway, that's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Smash that like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
And if you didn't participate yet in the YouTube poll, you really should jump on it. The poll comes out of the Iron Rod sale at getmarkmerch.com. That sale has concluded. But the question is, what was the hottest item? We gave you 4 choices. They're there on the YouTube poll. Long sleeve MT Show tee, Kjo and Exile tee, which is right here, MT Show pot holder, or the MT Show hat. Which was the hottest, most popular item at our merch site during the sale? And by the way, there'll be other sales. The merch people tell me we'll do some flash sales and stuff like that. So not to worry, there'll be other stuff. But for now, the Iron Rod discount is done. But what was the top seller? You can participate in the poll on YouTube. We will announce the winner at the that is the most popular at the end of the show. All right. Again, our chat line is still live, but the contribution super chat, they're down for today and probably a bit for tomorrow. You can go to themarkthompsonshow.com to make a contribution. This is Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. A web designer opposed to same-sex marriage may just win the favor of the Supreme Court. Justices heard arguments involving a Colorado graphic designer who refuses to create wedding websites for same-sex couples because it's in conflict with her religious beliefs. The court's conservative majority appeared to favor the designer's First Amendment rights over Colorado's anti-discrimination law. Arizona certifying its election results after a number of contentious races. Current Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, who is set to become the state's next governor, claimed powerful voices spread misinformation that threatened to disenfranchise voters in the state. The Democrat said democracy came out on top. She also warned preparations have to be made for 2024 when it comes to those who she claims aren't being truthful about elections. A new report says hackers with ties to the Chinese government stole millions of dollars in U.S. COVID relief benefits. NBC News reporting the China-based hacking group known as APT41 stole at least $20 million through Small Business Administration loans and unemployment insurance funds in more than a dozen states. The theft believed to be the first pandemic fraud linked to foreign state-sponsored cyber criminals acknowledged by the U.S. government. Pfizer officials say new investment means expansion in Michigan. Governor Gretchen Whitmer said the state and local leaders joined company officials announcing a $750 million investment in a Kalamazoo facility. That major investment will create 300 jobs and expand what is Pfizer's largest plant to accommodate increased production of oral COVID treatments like Paxlovid. Vice President Kamala Harris set to be in Los Angeles this weekend. She will swear in Karen Bass as mayor on Sunday, who became the first Black woman elected to the role last month. The inauguration ceremony will take place on the steps of City Hall and will include musical and cultural performances. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband making his first appearance since being attacked. He attended the Kennedy Center Honors last night in D.C., wearing a hat and one glove. The 82-year-old suffered a skull fracture and injuries to his right arm in October after a suspect broke into the couple's Pacific Heights house and hit him with a hammer. The Pelosi's were mentioned during the ceremony, and they received a standing ovation. The San Francisco 49ers will be turning to a new quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, out for the rest of the season. He broke his left foot during yesterday's game against the Miami Dolphins.
They wheeled him off, Kim. They wheeled him off. Yeah.
Poor
it's like
Jimmy.
Just brutal. He did look so handsome, though, as he was wheeled
Was the
off.
paparazzi there?
Probably at the hospital, the paparazzi.
He looked pretty cute on that stretcher. It came less than 3 months after he took over for Trey Lance, who suffered an ankle injury. Brock Purdy stepped in, helped lead the team to victory. The 49ers remain in first place in the NFC West.
Worst last name, best first name, Brock Purdy.
Yeah. So are they now down? Is he like the last quarterback standing, or are there others in the
Well, they just signed, as the commissioner noted in the first hour. If you missed it, guys, you can go back and hear Albert did weigh in. They signed a journeyman quarterback who's been with more teams. But, I mean, you don't want that guy in there necessarily. I mean, he might be stopgap. But this guy,
nothing.
Yeah, he's better than right. So if he went down, it wouldn't be like...
This sounds like a new reality show.
Last quarterback standing. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, go on ahead, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can find him on the internet, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
What up, everybody? It is Monday. The Niners won, even though, as Kim says, the news not so good as far as Jimmy G going away. And, this is so weird what happened with the Niners because, here's a guy you, in the beginning, sort of thinking, well, he's trade bait, Jimmy G. Then Trey Lance goes down, as Kim was just saying. All of a sudden, all of your hopes are rested on this guy who was trade bait before. Then he goes down, and now you're like, "Why? Oh my God, he's down." That's a guy who 3 months ago you didn't even want on the team, and now you have this rookie, Brock Purdy, and Brock, who performed well, will have to take this team to the Super Bowl. Now, he's surrounded by some immensely talented players, but there is a lot going up in Niners land. So there's that. I will just mention again, if you're trying to give us a super chat, you're trying to give us a contribution of any kind today, because of a YouTube glitch, you cannot. So we recommend that you go to PayPal. PayPal is at themarkthompsonshow.com. It's the best way to go. Don't even bother with Patreon. I mean, because there's, things, it's more convoluted. It still works, Patreon, but PayPal, boom, one and done. You're there. You can leave us a message. And in that spirit, Brian View, come on, Brian. How about a little something? He went to all that trouble. Yeah. It's enough to make me cry, but I'm going to give you a big shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah. Really appreciate it, Brian. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And British, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so really appreciate that. PayPal is the place to reach us right now for the moment. Might be a couple of days before we get YouTube squared away, but you can still weigh in on the YouTube poll. The most popular item at getmarkmerch.com. We gave you the choices. You have 4 choices. You have a 1 in 4 chance of being correct. We like to keep an eye on the moneyed class, where the money is going. We do it in a segment we call That's Rich. Oh, Craig cut us a new open for that.
Who are they?
The top 1/10 of 1%.
What are they like?
These people are so posh and snobby, they're snotty.
That's Rich on the Mark Thompson Show.
I like that open more than the other one. Yeah, I like that one more. That's great. Thank you, Craig Bowers. Really cool. Yeah. Cute little music bed at the end. Huh, very, very cool. Let's start in Sacramento. The Sacramento real estate news that a 5-bedroom home there in Davis is selling. It's 4,125 square feet in Davis, okay? Built in 1997. It is now selling for $1.7 million. That to me is a lot of money for. Now it's a big place.
Yeah.
You think, it's just saying it's so big that's the reason it's just expensive. It's almost $2 million.
Well, UC Davis is right there, so there's a lot of wealthy professors, right?
That's true. That's true. I think.
Well, at a state university, not a lot of wealthy.
I don't know wealthy professors, but they're it's well located.
Yeah.
A couple of professors could live there.
It's perfectly situated.
5 bedrooms. How many baths? Kim, you want to guess?
8.
Wow, look at you with the 8 baths. John, would you like to guess the number of bathrooms in a 5-bedroom house?
7.
Tony, would you like to guess number of bathrooms, please? 5 bedrooms. How many baths?
3.
I love how Tony's really reflective all the time when you ask him. The answer is 4. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. Wow, that is
the
just
1 bedroom. Right.
Well done, Tony.
Yeah. Use one of the bedrooms as a bathroom, and that's everything.
Brett would not be happy with that ratio.
No, Brett would not be. We should get Brett on the show before the end of the year. That'd be fun.
He's like, Mark who?
Yeah, exactly. Mark, I'm on KCBS doing traffic and weather together now. Can't be bothered. Someone just paid more than $200,000 for Steve Jobs' old Birkenstocks, everyone. Yeah.
Were they washed?
It's a record, the highest price ever paid for a pair of sandals at auction. I love that somebody's keeping track of that. The tech pioneer's brown suede Arizona sandals, which were expected to make $60,000 at auction, sold instead for $218,750 when they went under the hammer at Julian's auction. Were accompanied by an NFT. Prior to the sale, the California auction said the sandals, described as well-used but still intact, were a wardrobe staple for Jobs in the 1970s and 80s. Of course, he died in 2011.
Aren't Birkenstocks like you slide your foot in and it kind of molds to the form of your foot? So it's kind of a one sandal.
They have a cork
situation.
There's a cork quality to them. I know.
Yeah, they're straps, but you can slide in once they're set.
I will say this, and this is kind of wild. They had been thrown away, and they were rescued from the trash by Mark Scheff, who's a former house manager to Steve Jobs. So he had thrown them out, and Scheff grabbed them, and look at that. Instead of the $60,000, they went for over $200,000.
Who's bidding on this? Like foot fetish people?
Steve Jobs has a pretty big legacy in the world, so maybe it was that. But
I don't know.
But still, it says gross old foot yucko sandals.
Well, you see it that way, but it's not. You're not going to wear them. You have them as a.
What are you going to put them in a display case with like security laser beams?
You are right with an early iteration of some Apple computer.
Yeah.
Over here, you can see where he stepped in gum.
I wonder if it's at all tax deductible. We'll ask Moskowitz. I don't think it is. Maybe if you. I'll bet you Moskowitz. Well, let's ask him. When we come back, I want to continue with that, Rich. I have a major figure who used to sneak into huge events. He was the guy, the gate crasher. He passed away, but I'll tell you about his scam and what he did. He was a regular at so many huge events, and he never paid to get in. We'll do that next.
The Mark Thompson Show.
How about it for Steve Moskowitz? So, Steve Moskowitz, I ask you, you're at an auction. In this case, it's the auction where Steve Jobs' sandals were being auctioned, and they thought they'd get $60,000 for it. They got over $200,000 for these auction items, the sandals, the Birkenstocks. Is that at all? The only way it'd be tax deductible is if I had a business of people coming through my home or whatever looking at the sandals, and I charge for that, or I'm trying to now anticipate.
You would have your tax deduction when you sold it, because if you bought it for $200 and you sold it for $300, you don't pay tax on $300. You only pay tax on $300 minus $200 is $100. And then what you do is you set up in the business, so you have a pension deduction to offset it, and your office and your helpers, including, you can hire your family members and pay them fair market value for services actually performed. So instead of paying for your kid's school, you teach them a work ethic and you pay him, and he's got a brand new tax bracket. And if the kid is under age 18, You don't have Social Security tax on him. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do.
Wow.
Ooh, it's a wild idea. Just might
And
work.
that's just off the top of my head for starters.
Right. I mean, exactly.
I'm sending
Guys,
my
Mark
kids
doesn't
to
give
Steve
me a heads
Moskowitz.
up on this. This is what I thought of when he asked me.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more.
I'm sending my kids to Moskowitz tax summer camp. That's what it is. Finance.
Oh, nice.
Finance camp.
That not such a bad idea.
That's something that I always wanted to do. Back when I was a law professor, I asked the dean if I could teach. I wanted to teach my own class. I was going to call it Practical Tax, which, by the way, is the name of the podcast I'm doing with Chip.
Yeah.
And I was told no, I had to stick to the book, and that was it. And, that's one of the things that I'd like to say for the people that, obviously we want to do everything for you within the bounds of law. But if you think a little bit, there's so much that it can apply to you. Like what Mark asked me on this sale with Steve Jobs. Literally, that's just off the top of my head. Just imagine with a little bit of planning the difference it could make, as opposed to somebody's, there's nothing you can do, just pay tax on it. And there's so many people that can benefit from that. And that's one of the things that we do is year-round tax planning, where we say, look, let's set these things up, because I know here it's December and some people are scrambling for tax planning right now. And we do that too. There's some things you can do by December 31st to save you taxes. But rather, it's kind of like eating dinner. You don't just eat dinner in December. You eat dinner year-round. There's a reason for that, because your body needs the nourishment. Well, here, your taxes need the nourishment of constant planning, not to mention getting all kinds of things for you like ERC, where the government's giving away money. They're giving away up to $26,000 for every employee that you had during 2020 and 2021 that otherwise qualifies. And you say, well, your CPA told you don't qualify because your gross revenue didn't go down enough. There's two ways to qualify. One way is a drop in gross revenue. That's the easy way. And we start there too. If we can get it for you the easy way, of course we're going to do it the easy way. But a lot of CPAs are mass producing these now. And if your gross revenue didn't drop, no ERC for you, goodbye, next. Where we'll take the time with you. And sometimes some of these clients, Mark, I'm meeting with them 2 and 3 times to get the information to determine, do they qualify? I don't care if I have to meet with somebody 2 or 3 times. The only thing I care about is, can I legally get them the money, especially when their CPA said, no, you don't qualify? Because the next thing I'm going to ask them is, hey, we'd like to replace that CPA. You already see what we've done for you in this one instance. Let's show you what else we can do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. I mean, you can call Steve about these various things. I think government money left on the table it's obscene. We pay so much into this government, and why not get something back? And if you're eligible for it, damn it, you deserve it. And that's the way tax exposure should work as well. There's no need for you to pay more than you should. So within the law, Steve can help you with aggressively looking at your situation and seeing what you are legally entitled to. Reach Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. You see what I do with him. I dump a situation on him. We've had no conversation about it because I wasn't even thinking about it until we did the story. I dumped the situation on him, and right away he starts spinning. Well, we could do this, we could do that. If, with 30 seconds of even research, that plan begins to expand, and the other strategies may apply to your life. It's just I think there's a level of excitement Steve has when it comes to taxes that he could apply to your situation. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, or MoskowitzLLP.com, MoskowItz, MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, thanks, man.
Thanks, Mark, and everybody that knows me knows I really do get excited over taxes. How could you not?
How could you not? I can speak to that. All right, Steve Moskowitz, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
I love it. Good stuff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I want to get back to That's Rich, because there's stuff going on. I was saying before we took a break with Steve, there's this guy who's the ultimate gate crasher, okay? So he paid for nothing. These Taylor Swift tickets, he would never buy them for $8,000 a piece, but he would get into the Taylor Swift concert. He just passed away. His name is Dion Rich. He always said, why pay when you don't have to? He sneaked into more than 30 Super Bowls. All right. A lifetime of Oscar events. He got into the Oscars throughout his life. A few dozen Golden Globes events.
How do you sneak into the Oscars?
Well,
you know, Mark, you've done this, haven't you?
I snuck into the Vanity Fair party once, and I saw Ellen DeGeneres there, and I know Ellen, and I kind of waved to her. She was really really coming onto her own before her show, but really coming onto her own. And I thought, she's legitimately here. I'm not legitimately here, so I don't want to get too
I thought you were going
chummy.
to say really drunk.
No. We were at the bar. It was still early. I'll tell you, though, how he got into NFL games. He claimed he was an NFL ref. He dressed as a doctor. He had a black bag and stethoscope. Okay, so he really sold it. He had props for every situation. He pretended to be with the band, the press, the organist. He'd get in events all these different ways. One time he got into the Super Bowl by pushing himself in a wheelchair. He had enough disguises, they say, to satisfy a studio backlot. He was everywhere. At the first Super Bowl in New Orleans after 9/11, there was intense security everywhere. You may recall this. Triple fencing, armored vehicles, National Guardsmen, all there at the Super Bowl right after 9/11. And it took him 6 minutes to get in.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's the guy you should hire to test your security, right?
Yeah. No, it's really true. He made a Sports Illustrated cover running on the field with the Pittsburgh Steelers coach, Chuck Noll. He's in a picture with Oprah Winfrey, Bill Clinton, Tiger Woods. He likes photobombing before there was photobombing. Somebody says, I'm a little surprised that Dion's face is not in Da Vinci's Last Supper. That's how everywhere he was. So he passes away now at, how old did I say he was? He was, I don't see how old he was. 92 years old.
John Watson wants to know if he'll sneak into heaven.
Well, it's funny you say that, because upon his death, he said he wanted his tombstone to read, cause of death, living. Cause of death, living. But he hated funerals, so with a sizable budget, he's throwing himself a kicking the bucket blowout bash instead. It'll be sometime in January. It'll be held by friends and family. Wild.
So was he rich?
I don't think so.
Well, he had the last name.
He did have the last name.
He just got into events where the rich generally were the ones with access, rich or famous. But Dion Rich was his name. And he did not pay to get in anywhere. So that's his story today. There is, as I finish up, I have two other stories from That's Rich I wanted to share with you. One is what's happening in New Jersey. They are adding luxury apartments to a mall. 550 luxury apartments, 2 million square feet, will be added to a shopping mecca, the 15th largest in the nation, second biggest in New Jersey.
Nothing says luxury like living in a New Jersey mall.
Where do you live? Right above the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, that's right. The plan, which it was conceived pre-COVID, 2 new buildings that will go up in an existing parking lot on the west side of the mall, along with parks, gardens, commercial office space, and a transit center. So there's that. You saw in San Jose, they just put up the plans for that 2 high-rises that are going to go up in place of that restaurant. You saw that, John? I think I sent you the story. It's kind of wild. So it's high-rises, it's luxury apartments. They're going up everywhere. So, the economy when it comes to real estate is back. And here's the other story I wanted to share with you. The highest paid municipal worker in California. How much? I'm just going to tell you. I wonder how I want to do this.
Is that with overtime or without?
Yeah, right. With overtime, right.
Mm-hmm.
The highest paid California municipal employee. I'm just going to tell you. I'll spare you the.
Can I guess first?
Yeah. Go ahead if you want to.
$550K.
Okay. All right. Let's do it then. The highest paid municipal worker. What was their take home last year? I'm looking in the cool million, says Tom. Highest paid public workers are football coaches. Well, I know this is a municipal worker, not public worker. In your mind, you have a figure. Here it is. I will give you the answer. Tony, what do you think is the answer? He's always thoughtful about these things.
998,000, because he's not greedy to go for $1 million. He's just going to go right under. Fly under the radar.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, the implication that we don't put any thought into these things. 750,000.
Oh, man. John, how about that?
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
The answer is $716,000 last year, according to state records. Yeah.
Debbie gets it.
He's a Beverly Hills cop, and he tops the list of the highest paid California municipal employees, 100 of whom took home 100 municipal employees took home $439,000 or more in total wages last year.
Yeah.
He's the assistant police chief's dude. 716,284. What's that?
Is that the official title?
Yeah, I just gave him that title. So listen to this, though. $208,000 in regular income. The rest for lump sum and other pay. Mark Coopwood retired last year as assistant police chief in Beverly Hills after 4 years and 7 months. Well, why not? You're making that kind of loot. He was issued a final payment that included 12 months' salary and benefits, as well as compensation for unused leave. Wow. The top 10 highest paid people include city managers in West Hollywood, Artesia, and Fremont, 2 fire captains in the city of Los Angeles, and a firefighter, as well as a load dispatcher at the L.A. Department of Water and Power, who booked $400,000 in overtime compensation. I mean, it's pretty insane.
What?
Yeah.
Really get that overtime.
This reminds me of that Bart janitor that was sleeping in the closet. Do you remember that? He was getting like $200K in overtime. He had a total like $276,000 in salary.
What city has the highest paid mayor? What city, as long as we're talking about municipal employees, that's why I mentioned it. What city
in the country
has the highest paid mayor in the state? I mean, it's pretty easy. You got to go. You figure it's either Fresno, Sacramento, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, I would think, right? Maybe Bakersfield also. I'd throw Bakersfield in.
Yeah, but you have to throw corruption into the formula. I think Mohammed Nuru.
Well, you're getting warm. You're getting warm with Mohammed Nuru. You're getting warm.
Did this person receive a car from Mohammed?
A lot of votes for Atherton in the chat.
Yeah, a lot of votes for Atherton. I'll just put it this way. She had a good time at the Black Cat, the mayor of San Francisco. London Breed, everybody. Wow. She was the highest paid mayor in the state. She made on salary $353,802. Wow. Really, really cool. Well, I mean, that's a lot of
obscene number.
I had a good time at the Black Cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about you and whether or not you know who Raphael Sadiq and Dwayne Wiggins are.
I do now. What was that, Johnny? Sorry, I was talking over you.
If you look at a list of public employees in San Francisco, there's an obscene number of people making over 6 figures.
Well, because the city isn't, it's fine. Everything's proceeding. Yeah.
By the way, if you won either of those questions, you get nothing.
Yes, it is in the rich tradition of this show that we sadly we have nothing for
You
it.
get
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, but that, my friends, that's rich for today.
More on how the other half lives
These people aren't just rich, they're crazy rich.
next time on The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, that's Craig Bowers with our new open and close. Thank you, Craig. Well, look, I personally feel as though, given the obstacles today, things went very well. Now, John, do you have the results of the poll?
We do.
Okay, so the poll again, could you review it, please?
So, which one of these items from getmarkmerch.com do you think is the most popular? First option was long sleeve Mark Thompson Show t-shirt.
Yeah, long sleeve tee. Okay.
Second was KJO and XL t-shirt.
Okay, there's one.
Third,
right
we had the Mark Thompson Show pot holder.
Yeah.
And fourth, we had the Mark Thompson Show hat.
Oh.
So do you want to start with lowest, or do you want to go with winner?
Let's go with lowest. Let's go with lowest.
Lowest was the Mark Thompson Show hat at 12%.
No.
Next, we had the long sleeve Mark Thompson Show t-shirt at 16%.
Now, these are the votes?
This is the percentage of the votes.
Okay, percentage of votes. Got it.
So, yeah. That was, and in second place was the Mark Thompson Show pot holder at 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And our winner is, of course, the KJO and XL t-shirt with 52% of the vote.
Yes. Now, is that the actual, are those the actual answers?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, wait. I mean, no, that's the result of what.
That's the result. So I have to go get the actual answers.
Let's see if it.
Well, that's being held by our accounting firm, Thompson.
Yes.
Thompson.
No, we do have it. I do have it. The Mark merch
You
people
mean
did send it to
Moskowitz
me.
and Moskowitz.
We have to. I know we have to wrap up. So I'm sorry we have to wrap up here. I know. Okay. Well, oh my God, you're going to play me off with the music before I've given everybody the answer. At noon, the gas app warning. Let me give you the answers though. During the iron rod sale, these are the top sellers. The Mark Thompson long sleeve T-shirt number 3. Number 2, the Magic pot holder. The number 1 seller on the Get Mark merch site is the KGO and Exile t-shirt.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How about that? All right, Nikki's show is next. Smash that like button like a boss, even if you're watching in replay. We are going to work out some of the stuff with YouTube. We'll do that over the next couple of days. Thank you for those who went the extra step and went down to contribute at themarkthompsonshow.com on PayPal. So, yeah.
You're down to 5% battery.
Okay, hear the music. They're going to go over to Nikki's channel.
Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
I can tell when I'm not wanted. Thank you all for being here today. Thanks, everybody. Till tomorrow. Bye-bye.